Hey guys, what's going on? This is another Outdoorsman 1 video. Today we're going to be talking about my ALU CAB Canopy Camper. Get back to the video. We do dive into all the specifics on the Canopy Camper and start diving into some of the questions that I've been asked. Let's start out with the truck. This is a 2014 Tacoma TRD Offroad. It is the Gen 2.5, so it has a 4-liter engine. It has a locking rear differential. The electronic locker is fantastic from Toyota. It has about 140,000 miles on it now, and I've had it for a little over 3 years. A couple more of the specifics that you guys might ask in the comments down below are what suspension are you running and what kind of leafs are you running in the back. Currently I'm running the Icon 2.5. It's kind of their mid extended travel type setup. I am running stock upper control arms and lower control arms. They're just the 2.5 series shocks with the reservoirs. And then in the back I'm running a Deaver Stage 3 leaf pack. So that's their heaviest leaf pack that they have for the Tacoma. It'll carry up to 1,200 pounds of weight over the bed. So that's a pretty good medium. A lot of people will go with the Stage 2s, but the way that I plan on building this thing out, I did opt to go with the Stage 3. And then obviously as you add a awning or a water tank or the table slide, that weight substantially goes up. That's why I opted to go with the Deaver Stage 3 leaf pack in the back, so that I would be able to carry a fridge and a battery pack and solar on the roof and keep my heated blanket and my mattress and stuff like that in there all the time. It's a mini camper. I want to leave that stuff in there. Quite honestly, I love the fact that it's a giant metal box on the back of my truck, because if I have a rifle in my truck and I know I'm not going to be around my truck for a minute, it's probably safer in the big metal box than it is underneath the seat in my cab, because it's harder to break an aluminum wall that has 2 locks on it than it is to break a glass window. I am not re-geared. I am running 33-inch by 12.5-inch tires. These are BF Goodrich KM3s with Stealth Customs wheels. On top of that, I have a Tom Woods Customs drive shaft. It is a 1-piece solid drive shaft, so that kind of helps a little bit. It's a heavier drive shaft, and it does help a little bit with the roaming for gears. Hopefully here we'll be re-gearing and going to 35s. Okay, now that all of those things are out of the way, let's dive into the ALU CAB. Alright guys, so one of the main questions that I get asked is, why did I buy an ALU CAB, ALU CAB Canopy Camper? Why did I buy this over maybe a Go Fast camper or a Harker or a Vagabond or an AT Overland Habitat or something like that? Why did I buy an ALU CAB? The answer to that is really long and drawn out, but I'll hope to make it really simple. ALU CAB is the best. They've been around the longest. They've been doing this for like 30-something years in South Africa. I only had a 6-week lead time this year. And if you guys know anything about overlanding or off-road or anything that's going on in the world right now, you know that everything's backordered. I only had a 6-week lead time, and that was pretty much the time that it took to be shipped from South Africa to here and then installed by Juniper Overland up in Denver, Colorado. Quick turnaround. They've been around the longest, so they've kind of perfected their craft. There's not a whole lot of R&D that these guys need to do. They are constantly R&Ding their products, which is an awesome thing. If you follow their social medias, you'll see that they're constantly developing their products, even though they've been around for a long time. They're not just set in their ways. Another reason is for the space that you have, the ALU CAB maximizes that amount of space the best. The only one that rivals it is the Harker, and if you guys are familiar with the Harker, they're local to me here in Utah. They utilize your folded down tailgate, and they kind of have an annex that go over that, but I wasn't really down with the fact that that would all be completely open and whatnot, but they have a really cool build system. It just wasn't for me. The reason why I bought an ALU CAB Canopy Camper, being that it is the most expensive one on the market and it is the heaviest one on the market, stock dry weight, is just because of a lot of the little things. They have had so much time to R&D their product. You can see the little table slide. I absolutely love the table slide that I can just pull it out and I've got a little table. That overhang is totally useless space if not used for a table pull out. The fact that solar is already routed to the roof, so I don't have to drill any holes. I don't have to worry about that. From the factory, there's a solar plug up there. There's mounting capability everywhere for it. There's a lot of aftermarket support for it, whether it's from Goose Gear or GP Factor or all of these different brands. There's a lot of aftermarket support for the ALU CAB. And as I've said numerous times, a lot of these little mini campers have a lot of the same qualities, but the ALU CAB has all of them that I want. All of the doors lock independently. I can lock the rear door from the inside, so I can be pretty solid when I'm camping. The canvas up top is waterproof marine grade canvas, and there's 2 layers of it, so you get a little bit of an insulation value. The entire top is a bed when you close everything down. I personally don't like the sliding bed. I like the fact that the bed goes up and then comes back down when I'm ready for it. We'll dive into those things later, but the ALU CAB has everything that I want summed up in this one camper. But the biggest selling factor is the rear door. Like I said, the rear door. Nobody else has one. Everybody else just uses their tailgate. I love this. Carries a 33-inch tire. This is my full-size spare. No issues at all carrying it. The gas struts will even open it. Good night. Question number 2 that I get asked probably the second most is how much does it weigh or how much did it cost? Well, the starting price is somewhere around $9,000, $9,900 I think is the cheapest you can find it for from either Tiny Rig Company or OK 4-wheel drive. Now that is completely dry. There's nothing inside of it when you buy that. No solar on the roof, no floor on the inside, no walls, nothing. So literally the shell is what you get for that price. Then you start tacking things on like an awning or a water tank or the internal heater or whatnot, and your price just kind of skyrockets from that point. But from what I think you get for that $9,000 or that $9,900 mark, I don't think you can beat it, because you get a cut and dry usable mini camper that'll fit on your 6.5 foot bed or your 5.5 foot bed. So another question I get asked a lot is it worth it over a rooftop tent? Well, my big reason for getting this over a rooftop tent is the fact that my canvas doesn't blow in the wind. Your little rooftop tent will go. And that was one of the biggest things, and I guess this ties in a little bit with the first question of why did I buy an ALU CAB. You buy a Go Fast camper, you're pretty much buying an expensive rooftop tent. You buy a Harker, you've got a giant rooftop tent sticking out the backside that blows around in the wind, and it's also not sealed to the bed or anything. You put all of these campers on there and they're not sealed and you get dust in there like crazy. This thing has perfect seals all the way around. The only dust you get inside is the dust that you bring in with it, or if you forget to close your door when it's windy out. So is it worth it over a rooftop tent? Well, how often are you sleeping out of your rooftop tent? If you're going multiple consecutive nights, if you're going during the winter, then oh my gosh, this is so much more worth it than a rooftop tent. You're gonna spend $1,000 on a bed rack and somewhere between $1,500 if you buy it used to $4,000 on a rooftop tent. So you're already talking $5,000. That's about half of this. A rooftop tent will only last you so long before it starts to wear out and stuff like that. So personally, I think this is a pretty good investment if you see yourself staying in the overland lifestyle, I guess you could, or you want to van life your truck, or you want to go on a sabbatical for, you know, for what that's worth to you. I think these little mini campers are great. I think that each mini camper has its role. I think this one does the best job of combining all of those roles for the space, for the aftermarket support, for the just ability to modify it, the what comes with its stock with the lights and being pre-wired for solar and all of those things. I don't think you can beat what the value that you get with this one, and the fact that the tent doesn't blow around in the wind when it's open like almost all of the other ones on the market. The only one that really doesn't is going to be your Vagabond. That was my close second. So if you guys are interested in one of these little campers, but you don't want this for whatever reason, a Vagabond would be a pretty cool option. What does it weigh? Well, the dry weight on it is about 350 pounds. That's how much it weighs, but you're also losing the weight of your tailgate, so you can kind of subtract that. But then you jump that weight back up when you throw a spare tire all the way on the back of it. And so yeah, it does weigh a little bit. It does weigh quite a bit more than the Go Fast campers, which are like 270, or the Harkers, which are right around that same weight. So it is the heaviest camper on the market. But again, what you're getting, you have to remember that what you're getting has to pay its own price. It has to be worth it to you. Otherwise, I suggest you go with something else. Next question, how well does it off-road? Well, I mean, how well does your rooftop tent off-road? You probably have an RCI bed rack that weighs 120 pounds, and you probably got let's say a Rome Vagabond rooftop tent. That was my exact setup before. So you're looking at the exact same weight that I'm running right now. Granted, my weight is going to be a lot higher, but I also do have more weight going forward because I've got that overhang right there. So a little bit more of that weight is hanging forward. If you want to see kind of how well it off-roads, go watch my video that I just posted on Moab. I'll link it in the cards right there. When you're done with this video, go watch that video and kind of see how well I was able to take this thing off-roading in Onion Creek, Schaefer Trail, and Hell's Revenge. I was amazed at how well it wheeled. And I kind of got some crud on some Facebook forums online for saying that I was surprised at that. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're worried that your $10,000 tent wheeled well? Well, you got to think about it. I have a lot more weight, a lot higher than you do with your rooftop tent on your bed rack or on your bed rails. I've got a lot more weight up high, but this thing distributes the weight very well. I didn't have really any issues where I thought I was going to tip. I had some good spotters, so that's always going to help. But honestly, I don't think this has affected my ability to wheel with the boys any different. The next question is, how well is it during the winter? Well, it's different than a rooftop tent because I've got canvas walls and I've got 2 layers. I sleep with a heated blanket in there, and if it's below 20 degrees, I'll turn my Mr. Buddy heater on for the time being until I get my heater inside. I have insulated the inside of my bed, and I have also added a wood floor on the inside and put laminate on top of it. So I've got a lot more insulation on the inside than if you were to just buy it stock from OK 4-wheel drive. However, to answer that question, it's great. I also have a Hest. Check out my links in my bio, in the cards up there if you're interested in checking it out. I'm working on a video for them as well. But I've got a Hest mattress in there. It's a really good mattress. The stock mattress isn't anything to write home about. It's pretty similar to that you would get from, you know, your normal rooftop tent. So the Hest mattress is almost double the thickness. It's way softer, and the material that it's made of doesn't get stiff when it's cold outside. I bought this camper because I want to be able to camp all year long. So the fact that the mattress would get stiff when it's cold outside, I know they don't have to worry about that in South Africa, but here in Utah, it's December and we don't have any snow. I know, but it's kind of a big factor for me. So I sleep great in it. The next question I get asked quite a bit is it worth it? Well, I don't really think that I can answer that question because I'm not you. I use this thing a lot. I've only had it for about 4 months and I've probably already put 15 nights into it. So for me, yeah, it's worth it. I work a graveyard schedule of 5 on 5 off, so every other weekend I have a 5-day weekend. I just spent the last almost 6 days in this, and I think it's worth it. But like anything, if you're not going to use it, it's probably not worth it, especially when it's a relatively expensive investment. So if you're not going to use it, then no. If you're just going to want it for the Instagram fame, then maybe go with the Go Fast camper because they're quite a bit cheaper. And the last question is kind of would I buy it again? And I'll try to wrap up all my thoughts and answer all of your questions under this umbrella, so kind of stay tuned. If you have any more questions after this video is done, please feel free to DM me on Instagram, and once I have enough questions kind of saved up, I'll remake this video and add some more things into it. But would I do it again? Overwhelming yes. I'm a relatively young guy, so this was quite a big purchase for me, but you kind of work hard for the things that you want, right? I love this thing. I love the way it looks. I love the utility of it. I love the fact that unlike the majority of the other campers on the market, my walls go straight up, whereas the majority of the walls go in. Go Fast campers go in, Vagabond campers go in, so they all kind of tuck in. Now, is it going to be easier to get this down a tight trail or a Go Fast camper? Well, Go Fast campers are a lot taller. Sorry, ALU cabs are a lot taller than Go Fast campers. So in this situation, yeah, it would be easier for something else to get down the trail. But with a Go Fast camper, you can't leave anything more than a sleeping bag up there or it'll start to warp your roof. The insulation value on this is not beaten by anybody else on the market. Can't argue that. The utility aspect of this, the fact that it has lights, the fact that it has so much aftermarket support, isn't rivaled by anybody else on the market. Some people ask me kind of well, if you were to buy it right now, what are some things that you would recommend buying with it? Well, I mean, I don't know your needs. I don't know, do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Do you have a wife? Do you not have a wife? Are you just on your own like me? I think the table slide is a must. I absolutely think the table and the table slide is an absolute must. I think the awning is a really good option if you're in desert, high desert, or you want to add the annex room to it. I think that insulating the inside is, if you live in high mountains or a place where it gets cold like I do, I think adding solar is a definite must. And then I think, you know, being able to live out of it for what your needs are. That's what's great about these little mini campers. Something that I considered for a long time as my pinnacle of overlanding would have been the AT Habitat. If you guys are familiar with this rig, the Tembo Tusk Scottle rig, then you'll be pretty familiar with the AT Habitat. I think they're really cool, but when I started looking into them, it's just a big rooftop tent. The reason I bought this is because I don't want a rooftop tent anymore. Now that I have this, I could never go back to having a rooftop tent because it takes me 5 seconds to put this thing up, and if I've got my little window open, it'll probably take me about 25 seconds to put it away. I could never go back to packing a rooftop tent. I couldn't. So guys, this has been my Q&A number 1. This has been video number 1 in the ALU CAB Canopy Camper Build Questions All of the Above series. If you have more questions, please leave them down below and please send them to me on Instagram so I can know what your questions are and so I can come back to them and revisit this video once I've built it a little bit more and once I have more experience with the camper. Thank you guys as always for watching the video. Be good, be dangerous, be ready. We'll see you on the trail. Go to my merch store, buy something, and help support my expensive hobby.